Hey guys, how you doing? Today I want to show you one of the most versatile glitches, and the best part is it works in all versions from 1.0.0 all the way up to the current patch 1.2.1 and hopefully all following patches. We have a lot to cover today, so let's get started. The base setup we'll be using is called Stick Smuggling and was discovered by Ok. To begin, you'll need a lot of steering sticks, so make sure to stock up on those before proceeding. For this glitch, you'll need a like in a culling area. I recommend using the like in Hateno. Just jump down the well right here. There might be bombable walls you need to destroy to reach the like, and once you're in front of the like, ensure that you have all your equipment unequipped and then create a manual save. Once you've completed the save, walk towards the like and place a steering stick at around the same level as this rock here. Stand as far away from the steering stick as possible while still being able to see the control prompt on your HUD. Wait for the like to reach out and eat the steering stick, and then press A just before the stick vanishes. If your timing is correct, Link should be sucked into the like. But something different will happen. You can now mash your way out of the like and you'll notice that Link seems to be spit out by the like, but he's not visible. During this state, avoid taking any action and wait for the like to target the invisible version of Link again. As soon as the like attempts to eat the invisible Link again, it will turn Link visible and controllable once more. Be sure to maintain a good distance from the like and ensure it targets the steering stick and not Link. To achieve this, stand behind the stick at all times and maintain a significant distance throughout the process. Getting the timing down may take some practice, so don't be discouraged. Now walk back towards the well entrance. You'll notice that your rune wheel is locked and you can only activate your last active ability. To remove this rune lock, place a steering stick and step on it once. Now you can pick Ascend to exit the well. You'll notice that I turn invisible again shortly after leaving the well, and I'm unable to control Link in any way. This state is referred to as culling. Culling refers to a mechanic often used in video games to unload certain objects that are not on the screen in order to enhance performance. These unloaded objects retain their information in these states, making it different from simple unloading, such as walking far away, for example. Typically, culling shouldn't be as easily exploitable, but in this game, we have various methods to have an object or equipment connected to something inside a culling area, creating all sorts of interesting effects, like gas, quantum linking and more. In this case, we are exploiting the behavior of this mechanic by culling the like to which Link still seems to be connected. This culling state is the basis for all the glitches we'll be using today, in one way or another. Now, what are the basics of culling? For further clarification, when I mention Link or anything being culled, I mean this state of invisibility. When I talk about unculling Link or something else, it means that it becomes visible and interactable again. There are various ways to uncull Link, primarily by interacting with an overworld object or watching memories, and we need to discuss both of these separately. Interacting with an overworld object, such as standing on a steering stick or picking up a rock or sonar device that can be held, will uncull Link for as long as Link does not re-enter the culling area where the like is and then move out again. For the like in Hateno, this well seems to be enough to uncull the like, and as soon as I jump back down, it will cull me again. I highly advise you to use steering sticks and avoid trying to pick up any overworld items, because if you're in the middle of the animation and cull before finishing it, there's a chance you may softlock. This is another reason why you should prepare with a lot of steering sticks. Memories are another essential part, because watching a memory using the Pura pad and skipping it directly or early in results in Link being unculled for a few frames up to a second at times. So I usually place a steering stick down as soon as I set up the link to the like to uncull and allow me to set up whatever I need to set up. Then I go over to the lip of the well, stand on top of it and get down to uncull again. You can unlock the ability to watch memories in the Pura pad by finding one of the tiers scattered across the overworld. Now let's delve into the applications of this mechanic. First up, we have equipment duping, or more accurately, transmutating. This means we can transform one piece of equipment into another, and even one of every type per cycle. To begin, perform the basic setup with the like and then uncull using a steering stick. As you can see in this case, I cull rather quickly, so I skip a few memories and move towards the steering stick during the unculling time frame. As soon as Link flickers, you're good to go and you can step off the steering stick. If you're quick, the like might still be active as indicated by the question mark signaling the like's movements. In that case, just remain on the steering stick until Link flickers once. This usually indicates that the like has fully culled. Now place the steering stick next to the well and equip whatever you want to dupe. You can dupe all three types, melee weapons, bows and shields all together in one cycle if you wish, or just one or two of them. In my case, I want to dupe a Hylian shield, a 5-shot Lionel bow and a Gerudo scimitar. Once you have all the equipment you want to dupe equipped, drop down from the lip and wait until you cull. Now switch all your equipment using either the D-pad menu or the inventory. Change your equipment to the ones you want to transmute into the originally equipped equipment. That's kind of a tongue twister. In my case, the construct bow will turn into the 5-shot Lionel bow, my wooden shield will transform into a Hylian shield and the royal broadsword will become another Gerudo scimitar. After selecting the equipment you want to change, drop all of it using the D-pad menu again. You can use the inventory as well, just make sure that you unpause after changing equipment and then pause again to drop the weapons, otherwise the game will not register the equipment as truly equipped and the transmutation won't work. After dropping all the equipment, open the Pura pad and skip a memory. Then try to uncull by getting on the nearby steering stick. This can be a bit challenging, especially if you're a bit hectic like me. Don't worry, you don't need to pick up the equipment immediately as I do. That was simply a mistake on my part. You can do so after unculling via the steering stick as well. Once you've done that, you'll see that we now have two of the same equipment we just duped, and the equipment we dropped is now strangely smuggled onto Link's model without being truly equipped. I'll discuss this shortly. Essentially, you can repeat this transmutation process as often as you'd like. Just equip the items you want to do, go to the lip, drop down and cull, change the equipment to the one you want to transmute, close the menu, drop it and then memory skip to get on the steering stick. Rinse and repeat. Once you're done with duping, just warp and this should cut the connection to the like, returning everything to normal. You can use this technique when Link has equipment in his hands. Unfortunately, nobody has found a significantly broken usage for this. It essentially grants you an additional weapon or shield, but not much else of practical use. But there's another very useful application here. Arrow Smuggle. There are multiple ways to achieve this. If you've equipment duped a bow and made sure that your bow was on Link's back, then congratulations, you've already set up Arrow Smuggle. However, if you don't want to dupe a bow in the process or have access to only one bow, then make sure that you have no bow equipped and wait until you cull. Switch to the bow either via the pause menu or D-pad menu, close the menu and then reopen it to drop it. After that, you can either stand on a steering stick to uncull or warp if you're done. Arrow smuggling is highly useful for clipping through ceilings and as a precise yet quick movement option for short to medium distances, known as arrow flight. I discuss how to clip through ceilings using Arrow Smuggle in the video I've linked in the top right corner and in the description, so be sure to check it out if you're interested. However, this glitch doesn't only allow for equipment duping and arrow smuggling. It also opens the door for fuse entanglement and a lot of shenanigans. But once again, a reminder to make sure that you've manually saved your game to prevent any potential data loss, as this glitch can easily softlock your game. For everything that requires fuse entanglement, you should prepare with enough objects that you want to fuse entangle in your inventory. In my case, I want to start by fuse entangling this fan to my shield. So I've prepared with plenty of fans as well as at least one shield or weapon that I can fuse to. The basic idea to fuse entangle using this glitch is to interrupt the fuse just when Link is about to cull. After that, you can either teleport to the closest shrine to fully reset, and you can find the fuse entangled object still laying around. Alternatively, you can step on a steering stick for temporary uncull, of course. Unfortunately, the timing for this can be quite tricky to get. So don't be discouraged if you don't get it right on the first few attempts, but there are some tricks that can make it easier. First off, there's the recall method that SteFen from the speedrunning Discord server found. To do this, make sure that Link is standing neutrally before culling, then open the rune menu, pick recall, and press minus to skip one memory. After that, you can exit the Pura pad and you'll see that Link is unculled until recall is cancelled. Now change to the fuse rune and you'll have a set amount of time until Link culls again. If you time it right, it should look like this. Another method is to pick the fuse rune, then open the Pura pad and skip around 3 to 4 memories. After that, wait a bit in the Pura pad. Essentially, we're trying to get as few frames of Link being unculled as possible. As soon as we're ready, we spam the Y or ZL button depending on what we want to fuse. And then just close the Pura pad while spamming that button. After some testing, however, I'm pretty sure that the first method will be more consistent once you have the timing down. It just takes a lot of practice to get it right. There is another interesting state you might encounter, which is called phase culling. In this state, Link will constantly switch between culled and unculled states and flicker. You can use this to fuse entangle too, but you might need a few tries to get it to work. As of now, there's no known consistent way of achieving phase culling. I found that standing close to the well and skipping between 3 to 4 memories can sometimes lead to phase culling, but not all the time. If you discover something, be sure to let me know in the comments. Anyways, let's talk about a successful fuse entanglement here. Notice how the object we want to fuse entangle move towards Link's position. You will likely not be able to open any of the D-pad menus, and the equipment you fuse entangle to might not be updated to show the fuse in the inventory yet. This is because we interrupted the fuse and the game is a bit confused now. To get rid of that, you can either warp or step on a steering stick using memory skips, just as we did earlier. As you can see, just after one memory skip or alternatively after teleporting, the inventory has updated and the fuse will now show in the inventory as well. We can now keep on fuse entangling other stuff, just make sure that the equipment you already fuse entangled to, in my case the Hylian shield, cannot be put back into the inventory. Otherwise, your fuse entanglement will be destroyed in the process. If you're done with everything you want to fuse entangle, I highly recommend you to just warp to this shrine right here to make sure you cut the connection to the like. Alright, let's get to troubleshooting, because there's a lot that can go wrong here. Soft locking during fuse entanglement can happen at a few points. Usually it means that the fuse entanglement was not successful, even if it looks like it should have worked. You will recognize a soft lock when you are unable to input anything except camera controls. The only choice you have now is resetting. There's a small chance of getting a blood moon on the upcoming night. From my testing, it does clear the soft lock, but if it does fuse entangle or not is a crapshoot at best. So I'd recommend you to not take your chances on this one and just close out of the game and restart. If you full fuse, you were too early. You can open your inventory and check the equipment that you fused to. If you are unable to destroy the fuse, that means that you were just a few frames too early. This can be a useful cue to figure out the correct timing for fuse entanglement. This is really hard to time, so again, please don't be discouraged. So just take your time with this, and if you feel that it's getting to you, remember to take a break or spend some time exploring the beautiful world of Hyrule and come back later. Alright, everything that follows now will require fuse entanglement, so make sure that you have an understanding of these mechanics before moving on. A bunch of my viewers might already know, but I need to talk about gas again. No, not because of my inability to restrain myself from consuming lactose-containing food, no. GAS stands for Guardless Active Shield, and it is an umbrella term for equipment whose sonar fuse is in a constantly active state, as if one would press the corresponding button to activate it. This can be used for multiple things, my favorite being of course gas launching. For that we want to fuse entangle a fan to our shield and then fully fuse it to the weapon. Now we need a culling area. Luckily, pretty much every single interior of one of those houses is a culling area. So we just put our shield in one of those houses, leave the house and walk away until the fan visibly disappears from the weapon. Now attack at least once while in this state and walk back. You should now see that as soon as we load back in, the fan stays constantly active. You're now free to pick the shield back up again, and now we can gas launch away. If you're interested in gas launching, be sure to check out the guide I've already made about it. Pretty much everything still works, the only difference being the differing fuse entanglement method. And you unfortunately won't be able to zuggle the shield or the weapon, so you will be unable to attack or press the shield, as that will cancel gas. You can use gas for a lot of other stuff as well. Fuse entangle a shock emitter to gain free electricity, or fuse entangle a hydrant to get an easy way for reusable hydroclipping. Feel free to experiment with it and let me know what you find in the comments. And yes, rocketboarding aka pocket rocket works as well using this form of fuse entanglement. But since the usage is limited and the rocket despawns rather quickly, I wouldn't recommend it to anyone as gas is practically infinite. If you're on 1.2.0, you don't need a culling area. Quick smuggling essentially works the same as culling the shield. Just stand with your back to a wall, open the inventory by pressing plus. Now drop the equipped shield that we fuse entangled, and then pick another shield, equip and unequip, then close the menu. As you can see, the shield is now culled, and with it the shared fuse that is on the weapon as well. Now we can just activate gas as usual by attacking at least once, drop our quick smuggle shield, and it's as easy as that, yeah? Keep in mind that warping or entering shrines does not destroy the fuse entanglement, but it will cancel gas, so you will have to set it up again. Next up we have arrow unloading. Arrow unloading was first discovered by Mozz, pyuk and Zaz. For this, fuse entangle a bow and then put the equipment you fused the bow to inside a culling area and attach a dragon part to it. This will increase the despawn radius to 3000 units. Now walk away from the culling area until the bow disappears. Drop the bow somewhere outside of the culling area and you will see that it turns visible again. If we walk back inside the culling area and then back outside, you will see it culls again. To get arrow unload, we need to pick up the bow just before it culls. It's pretty tight timing and possibly frame perfect. For this, you can either walk slowly outside of the culling area and try to time it, or put it a bit more outside and try to run towards it while spamming A to get the sweet spot. You can check if you've got arrow unload by shooting an arrow with a fuse. If it just drops down in front of you like a regular item drop or sonar deployment, then you've successfully achieved arrow unload. This is a pretty interesting state, where the game seems to be unable to regularly generate arrow fuses. But the really interesting stuff happens with sonar devices, because sonar devices will be in a state of being constantly active without consuming any energy. And it gets even crazier when you put small wheels into the mix. The small wheels shoot out with extreme force and can be used to launch yourself crazily high. Just jump forward with your wheel already fused to the arrow, and just before landing, release the arrow. It's still pretty volatile and can send you pretty far out sometimes, so far out actually that you might unload the shield and the culling area, and with it the bow that we use for arrow unloading. Another thing to add here is that if you drop your bow while in the arrow unloaded state, it will turn into a Fuse Entanglement Drop Smuggle, which I will talk about later. You may notice that the bow is still equipped in the inventory, but Link appears as if no bow is equipped. This is known as a desync or Fuse Entanglement desync and offers another method to transmute equipment. In my case, I unloaded the shield that the bow was fused to by moving too far away from it. However, you can also achieve this by simply putting the shield in your inventory using the D-pad or the pause menu. Now, drop the equipment you want to transfer its values over. In my case, it's a 5-shot Lionel bow. Then pick it up. You can see that the construct bow now possesses the perk of a 5-shot bow, but it's still not a Lionel bow. If you only want to transfer the perk, just unequip it or equip another equipment of the same type. Ensure you unpause the game so it updates the weapon state. The next time you equip it, it can be used normally. If you want to fully transfer the weapon state, turning the construct bow into a 5-shot Lionel bow, simply drop it as shown here. Drop smuggling is another state you can achieve by fuse entangling equipment to a weapon or shield. To do this, fuse entangle either a weapon or bow to a shield or a shield or bow to a weapon. You can also fuse weapons to weapons and shields to shields, but it will limit your options. As soon as you're done fuse entangling, cancel the link to the like by warping. Place the base equipment, the one you fuse entangled to, in a culling area. Now, follow the same steps as with the arrow unloading setup. Simply drop the fuse entangled equipment outside of the culling area and try to pick it up on the last possible frame. If done correctly, you will notice that the weapon sheath is parallel to the ground and not tilted at a 45-degree angle as usual. While the weapon is still culled, drop it, and instead of just falling to the ground, it should fling around with considerable force at times. The weapon is now a purgatory weapon. It won't react to any runes and can't be picked up, except when you already have that equipment type equipped. But this will crash your game, so avoid doing that. Instead, walk back into the culling area, pick it up, and you'll see that it's now a fuse entangled Drop Smuggle, which will follow you as long as you have the base equipped. You can use this for Drop Smuggle flight by using flat sonar devices where the Drop Smuggled item can fit its collision under. Carts and sledges with attached stabilizers work well and provide decent speed and maneuverability. This technique also works with like-likes. Feed the fuse entanglement base to the like and pick it up just before it culls. After that, drop the equipment and retrieve the base from the like, either by using a bomb you attached beforehand to interrupt its chewing animation or by killing it. You can also drop smuggle for an easy way to test different gas applications. Essentially, a Drop Smuggle piece of equipment will share its fuse with the same type of equipment. I've created a beginner's guide to Drop Smuggle Fuse Entanglement, so if you're interested, feel free to check it out in the comments, description, or wherever I decide to place it. This method works much like gas. You fuse something to your equipped weapon or shield, then cull the equipment that your Drop Smuggled equipment is fuse entangled to. In my case, my fan is already culled, so I simply activate it as usual, pick up my shield, and I'm ready to go. If I want to change my gas fuse, I just change my equipment and fuse something else to it, and the Drop Smuggled item will update accordingly. Alright, I think that leaves a pretty good overview about what can be done with this glitch. Of course, that is not the end all be all, so feel free to experiment around with it and let me know what you found. My next upcoming video is kind of a different type of video. It is the story of how the Hyrule Engineering Discord managed to free an infinite wing. Yeah, that's right, ladies and gentlemen, a wing that will never despawn. I'm very excited to be working on this video, so if you want to watch it as soon as it drops, be sure to hit that subscribe button, and if you've enjoyed the video so far, give it a like and feel free to ask me anything you need to know in the comments below. See ya!